I've always had great doubts about myself, about my looks, about my talent or so-called talent. And so I've never believed much of it. I've believed the results, and I'm very happy with them. But I didn't change.
No. Mm. You've always been as cool and collected as you are now?
I don't know, you call it cool and collected. I'm not that cool and collected on the inside.
No. Your mother once called you an ugly duckling.
Yes, well, she was right, you know, except that the ugly duckling grows into a beautiful swan, which didn't happen to me.
Throughout a movie career spanning more than 3 decades, you've made relatively few films. 25?
You counted very well. I think it's about that.
Is there a specific reason for that?
Yes, because I'm still the same way, but I've always cared terribly about my private life. And once I had my boys, I wanted to spend a lot of time with them. So what I did before my children were born is that I would do maybe 2 pictures in a year and then take a year off, because I never quite understood how you could be a good wife and be gone all the time making a movie. Any the less than I could understand how you could be a mother if you can't take your children with you and you're not making the pictures at home. So I didn't want to leave my children, didn't want to leave my husband. And so that's why I didn't work very much. And especially once my eldest son started going to school. Yes. Because when he was smaller, he came with me. But once he started to go to school, I stayed home too.
Looking back to that period, your career left you enough room to be a good mother?
Good mother is, you know, only who can tell what a good mother is.
Yes.
But I was there, so I think that's already something.
One of the biggest dreams you had when you were young was being a ballerina. Where did it end?
Where did the ballerina end? Well, one thing I knew when I was young is that I had to work. And I loved dancing. And I studied ballet in Holland during the war. And after the war, 2-3 years after the war, went to England, to London, with a scholarship to the Rambert Ballet School. I did that for 2 or 3 years and did musicals and so forth in London. I always needed an extra penny, so I was always doing extra jobs on television and modeling and so forth. And suddenly one day, I had a little bit in a movie and so forth, and there was a wonderful gentleman called William Wyler who was looking for an unknown, which was my only qualification, for Roman Holiday. And he left orders with an English director called Thorold Dickinson to test lots of young people. I was one of them, and I got the part.
And you got an Oscar immediately for your first big part in an important movie.
That's incredible, isn't it? For my first real movie, yes. I had done other movies, but smaller parts.
Yes.
Just cut, thank you.
What was the haircut necessary for? Because I was too young to realize what happened.
Where?
There.
There. Are you sure, miss?
I'm quite sure, thank you.
You never saw Roman Holiday?
No.
Well, one of her sort of more defiant gestures that this princess makes in the picture is to cut off her hair because she wants to be like the other girls. And actually, it caused a bit of a furor, especially in Japan, where the film was an enormous success, still is today. Because there, all girls had very long hair, and it was part of the tradition, and they all cut off their hair. And I was held responsible. To bring it back to pictures, clothes per se, the costume, whether it's modern or is terribly important to me, always has been. Perhaps because I didn't have any technique for acting when I started, because I'd never learned to act. I had to sort of make believe like children do. You know how children get dressed up and make believe they're somebody or a grown-up.
Like I get dressed and make believe that I'm an interviewer.
That's right. You can't, for instance, act the 17th century, nor can you really act a nun or act very rich or act very poor. That's something, you're a human being and your feelings are the ones you act. But you can dress 17th century. And this way the audience knows who you are and what you are.
Fashion has played a big part in your career, throughout your career.
In my life.
In your life. You even received an Oscar de la Mode sur la scène de l'Opéra de Paris, as I understood 2 or 3 years ago. One can never say that luck and coincidence are the only two factors who made you an actress.
Mostly.
But
Mostly.
you wanted to become an actress as well, didn't you?
No, I wanted to be a dancer. I still do. It still is my dream. And I must say, when I go to the ballet, I'm so emotional and moved by beautiful ballet.